What's up guys, welcome back to If Chronicles. In this video we're gonna be talking about airdrops. So from my last video I see that I got many questions about what are airdrops, how they can get paid from airdrop, if airdrop are really paying money, how you can participate, usually if I sell my coins, and many questions. So I'm gonna try to answer some of those questions here on this video. So starting first, what are airdrops? An airdrop is pretty simple. So it is basically when a project decides to create their token, they usually distribute a portion of those tokens to early users. So for example, let's use Apple as an example, the company Apple. So we have Apple, let's say they're a crypto project and they decide to launch their own token, which usually the utility for that token is governance, which means that if I'm holding 10% of the circulating supply or the total supply, that means that I have some voting rights. So for example, if Apple wants to partner up with Microsoft and they create the proposal, if I'm holding some type of percentage in Apple, then I can take a position or I can vote if yes, if no, or maybe if there is any other options that I can vote. So basically it gives you the option to create the path of that project, because in the end, in crypto, everything is decentralized. So when they create a project, the main goal usually is that they try to also be decentralized. So they usually allocate a pretty good portion of the tokenomics to early users, and also you can continue to just purchase the token. Second utility, usually it is for gas fees. So for example, Ethereum, I can be holding Ethereum, I can vote on proposals, but also if I need to take some transactions on the Ethereum mainnet, on Starknet, on Arbitrum, on Optimism, I'm gonna need some ETH to pay for those gas fees. And so for example, let's say that I'm holding Optimism. The only downside is that currently those are not being used to pay for gas fees. So the demand right there is actually less than Ethereum. That is the only thing. But also they have many other things. So in the future, we might receive some funds, or let's say that they are making like $1 million, and they say that 10% of that will go to holders. So that means that maybe $1 million, so 100K will basically go to holders of the token. And also, let's see, what are also some other liquidity? Usually if you hold some tokens, you might get some features. So for example, if it is for a DEX like 1inch, which is a decentralized exchange, if you hold their token, I think the fees that you're going to be paying is actually quite less than if you're not holding the token. So if you are a trader, if you're really using 1inch, then in that case it might be good for you to be holding the token, because you might get the price of the token might go up, but at the same time you might be paying some less fees or gas fees. So it is quite unique, and it really depends on the project and what they decide to do with those tokens. So that would be the airdrop. So basically it is just that if you participate and you are an early user, that means you might receive an airdrop in the future. So I have here some other questions. Let's see what else I have. Let's see. Okay, so why do we get paid? That was the second question that I got. Why do we get paid? And that is also fairly simple. So that means, let's say we have a project that they're trying to bring some awareness, and there is a lot of people talking about the airdrop. So that means they would start to get a lot of users, which is completely for free. So basically what they would be paying for marketing comes, let's say, free, or at least at the moment they don't have to pay for it. So in the future they can just distribute some coins, some tokens for those people that actually use the project in early stages. Second is that they can also fix bugs. So let's say, for example, we have ZK Sync. I think ZK Sync must have like 100 million transactions since March. If they would have done that by themselves, that would be pretty expensive, because at first on ZK Sync I was actually paying like $2, $3, or even $5 per transactions for the first weeks. So 100 million transaction, if you multiply that by $5, $3, that is already $300 million And also those transactions are not organic. So if they are the one taking, like the team is the one taking those transactions, it can be quite expensive on their end. So again, if we are the one paying for those gas fees, they don't have to spend that money and they can allocate it into something else. So that's basically why we're getting paid. It is one, it is marketing. Second, we are being an early user. We are testing the project. We're giving them back some feedback. They can also see our transactions. What was the time frame for the finality of that transaction? How much money we paid on gas fees? What are the differences when we take a transaction in the morning and at night? So basically they can get all that information for free because we are the one paying for that gas fee. Also, as I said, marketing. And then lastly, it is decentralization. Because again, if a project really wants to do good in crypto, usually they need to be decentralized. So that would be why we're getting paid. So basically it is not for free because we are the one placing time, adding money, getting involved with the project, and we are a real user. So that's why we're getting paid. So next question is usual requirements. So I've seen that question also. How do I know how to get involved with a project? Well, basically we don't know. To be honest, we don't know. Everything is based on speculation, but the good thing is that if you go to a project, let's say Uniswap as an example. Let me just go to Uniswap real quick. .org. And let's say that Uniswap right now is tokenless. It is not, but just using it as an example. Once we are on Uniswap, let's look at some of the features that they have. So we can swap. They have NFTs, pools, and let's see what else, and voting governance. So that means you need to be holding their token. So basically those features are pretty simple and straightforward. So if you're farming Uniswap or any DEX, you can just check those features and start using them. So for example, if we have swapping, let's go ahead and do some swapping. If we have pools, just go and add some liquidity to those pools. So that is fairly simple. If it is a blockchain, again, just use the blockchain, just use as many protocols as possible, add volume, and get involved with it, be consistent so they can see that you're actually coming back to it, taking a transaction today, taking another transaction in a few days. You're actually being a real user. And usually what we also use is other requirements. So we can take a look at, let's see, Uniswap requirements for airdrop. Let's see if we can find that information. The requirement was simple. The snapshot for this airdrop was held on September 21. Anyone? Let me see if we can get that information real quick here. Let's see. The requirement was simply the snapshot held. Anyone who hasn't used Uniswap before the snapshot is not eligible. So basically you just had to use Uniswap before that date. And that's another thing. They will not let you know when will be the snapshot. Because in the end, they want real users. So usually if it is a big project, they will not let us know when we will have the snapshot. So again, we just have to play with it and just pray that we're actually early enough to receive an airdrop. So as you can see, fairly simple. Now the only thing is that as time passes, it is actually getting more and more difficult to get involved with some of these airdrop. I think that for Uniswap, probably you just needed to take a few swaps and then you would have received 400 uni, which is not bad at all. If we double check that price right here, Uniswap is $4. Let me do 400. So that would be 1.8K at today prices. And last bull run, I think Uniswap was around $44. So that is, again, not bad at all. That's a lot of money. So yeah. And what we can also do is check, for example, Arbitrum, airdrop requirements. If we go to image, we should be able to find that. There we go. So bridge funds into Arbitrum 1, transaction during 2 distinct months, 6 months, 9 months, and then we have 4 transactions, 10 transactions, 25, 100. Then there is transaction exceeding 10K in value, and that is aggregate value. So that means if you have $1,000 and you take 10 transactions that are worth $1,000, then you have $10,000 in trading volume. So that's why even if you see those crazy numbers, you can actually reach them. I've reached many wallets to 10K with just $100, $200 on my MetaMask. Of course, in the end, you will be spending a little bit more money on gas fees because you need to take more transactions than if you had maybe 1K. That's only 10 transactions. If you have $100, $50, then yeah, you really have to take a lot of transactions, and gas fees can actually be more than that. So that's why if you have more money, it would be actually easier for you to farm a project. If not, you can just work with whatever you have on hand. Let me see what other questions we have here. That is another one that is super interesting, is what we need to avoid when we are farming a project. Number one, try to be as organic as possible. So for example, let's say Uniswap, don't just come here and take 100 transactions today and never looking back at it. So take maybe 2 to 3 today, come back to it, take 1 or 2 next week. So you need to be very consistent, so it looks like you are being an early user. So swap different coins and so on and so forth. If it is a blockchain like ZK Sync, come to it, test one protocol. Next week, come to it, test another protocol, like let's say 1inch, that is on ZK Sync. Next week, you can try SyncSwap. Then third week, you can try another project like EasySwap and many others. So don't just be using one project and expecting that you're going to be receiving a good airdrop. Then let's see how to calculate the airdrop. So how much money we can make on an airdrop. And that is actually fairly simple, and it really depends on if we have the information on the amount of money that they have raised. So for example, Arbitrum, I think they were worth like $1 billion when they created the token. And I think they allocated like 12% of the supply. So that is $100 million. So the bigger the project, more money we can make. So if we have a DEX, let's say that is worth $1 million and they decide to allocate 10%. That is only 100K. And when you divide 100K in 100,000 users, that's only $1. So that's why the bigger the airdrop, the bigger the project. If it is worth $1 billion, $2 to $3 billion. So for example, layer 0 is actually worth $3 billion. So that means the airdrop can be actually way bigger. Startnet is another one that is worth $8 billion. So we can actually receive way more money if the project is actually bigger. And usually for those projects, we can actually receive anywhere from 1K, 2K, up to even 15K. I've seen crazy numbers like 25K, 50K. So it really depends on the project and how big it is. And let's see, I think this is the last question. We have also for IP addresses. And that is an information that we are not 100% sure if they're tracking that. But I'm going to be making a video, I think probably today or in 2 days, on how you can create an RPC so they can track your IP address. So that could be a good option right there. And last question is what I do when I receive my airdrop if I sell my tokens. And the answer is yes, I sell all my tokens. And that is not because I don't like the project. It is just because I just want to get the best price possible today. So for example, Arbitrum, I sold all my tokens at 1.4, 1.3, more or less. And right now it is at 95 cents. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be purchasing back my tokens between 95 cents and 75 cents. So in the end, I'm actually just selling my coins at a higher price and hoping to purchase them at a lower price. But that doesn't really mean that I don't like the project. I'm just trying to make as much money as possible. And there you have it. If you have any other questions, any doubts on airdrops, just let me know. Drop it in the comment section. Create a list. I really don't care. You can just add questions so I can just continue to create more Q&As and create more content about airdrop. And if you find this content valuable enough, please share it with a friend, subscribe, like. Thank you for watching. Happy farming, guys.